In a world where games come and go, fading into the abyss as quickly as they rise, there are some games out there that time just can't kill. And Cyberpunk 2077 is one of those at the top. And to truly understand why Cyberpunk 2077 is so respected, I went beyond just playing it. I actually dove deep into the world that actually inspired it. I read 3 defining books that shaped the cyberpunk genre. I watched 6 iconic movies which helped me get a better grasp of where the aesthetic came from and some of the philosophy. But this video isn't about what solely inspired Cyberpunk 2077. It's about how those influences combine with CD Projekt Red's storytelling, gameplay design, and the game's journey from broken promise to redemption that created an experience that time simply can't kill. So I think it's only right we talk about Cyberpunk 2077 troubled launch first. I watched a couple of interviews with CD Projekt Red's developers to uncover what went wrong, what went right, and how they turned a broken dream into something timeless. Before Cyberpunk 2077 even launched, CD Projekt Red developers spoke with passion about their vision. They wanted Night City to be the most immersive open world ever created. They promised a game where your choices would matter. The world would react and no 2 players would have the same experience. They said Cyberpunk 2077 was supposed to redefine open world RPGs, just like The Witcher 3 did. In early interviews, Quest developer Pavel talked about how they approached storytelling. In quotes, "We wanted to create something that makes you feel like you're a part of this world, not just a player, but someone with a real identity in Night City." This idea wasn't just marketing yap. You could hear the surreal passion in the developers' voices. It was genuine. When you actually play Cyberpunk 2077, you see the ambition behind it. Every gig, every random NPC conversation, every neon lit street corner is designed to make you feel like Night City exists with or without you. Every major quest line is filled with choices, some subtle, some huge, but all of them reinforce this feeling of agency. But if the vision was so strong, why did everything collapse at launch? You know what? It's time for me to go into detective mode. The more interviews I watched, the clearer it became. Cyberpunk 2077 wasn't just a victim of hype, it was a victim of its own ambition. Developers admitted that they struggled to build a game this complex on old hardware, the PS4 and Xbox One. Former CDPR employees revealed that the game's core mechanics weren't fully working just months before release.
Keep her steady.
I can't shoot. Hello? Hello?
Leaks and reports showed how the studio was under pressure to deliver on promises that wasn't realistic. Adam Badowski, head of CDPR, admitted they underestimated the scope of the project. In quotes, "The city, the characters, the choices, we wanted to do something never done before, and it turned out to be much harder than we expected." One of the most shocking things I learned was just how much that had to be cut from Cyberpunk 2077. Wall running, cut. Deep Police AI, cut. Expansive metro system, cut. Life path exclusive missions, cut. The developers weren't lazy, they were just racing against time. One CDPR dev said in a post-launch interview, in quote, "We had these ideas, but we couldn't make them work in time." Some leaked internal documents even show that features shown in trailers didn't actually exist yet when they were revealed. And then it was time. December 10th, 2020 happened. The game launched in an unfinished state and the world noticed. Now, if the story of Cyberpunk 2077 was a game itself, this will be the redemption arc. The developers retreated into months of silence as they griped with unmet expectations. But they held faith and turned shit up. They rebuilt entire systems. Police AI was overhauled in Update 2.0. Combat mechanics were redesigned for deeper RPG elements. Skill trees were redesigned to feel more rewarding. They added new mechanics. Vehicle combat finally became a reality. Cyberware got a full rework, making every upgrade meaningful. AI improvements made Night City feel more alive. When Phantom Liberty launched, even developers themselves admitted, this is the game we wanted to make from the beginning. And even in one particularly moving moment, Pavel Sasko broke down on stream, not out of regret for the game's past, but as an emotional release in witnessing its transformation. But you want to know what else witnessed the transformation? The community. Players return, reviews improve. Cyberpunk 2077 became one of Steam's highest rated games. What started as a cautionary tale about overpromising became a legendary comeback story. You know, watching these interviews and reading into insights, you realize something important. Developers are not their companies. The people who actually create games are often the ones who suffer the most when things go wrong. I think awareness needs to be spread more because they don't get the same clemency as anime animators. With animators, we understand that the companies they work for can give off harsh deadlines, which can cause things to be rushed. So when we see things like CGI and stuff like that, we are more like understanding. For example, the developers of Cyberpunk 2077 knew the game wasn't ready, but they weren't the ones making the final call to launch it. It was reported that the Cyberpunk 2077 team was firmly in the grip of crunch time, complete with 6-day weeks, long nights, and weekends, working a generally exhausting pace. When you are working like that, it's no surprise you are getting diminishing returns. With a pace of balance, a lot more can be accomplished. Paweł Sasko, when reflecting on everything, said, in quotes, "I hope people understand we really cared about this game." By mid-2022, Cyberpunk 2077 was in a better state than ever. The patches had fixed most of the major issues. The game was playable, but something was still missing. Then came Cyberpunk Edge Runners, and everything changed almost overnight. Cyberpunk 2077 saw one of the biggest comebacks in gaming history. Millions of players, new and old, jumped back into the game. And for the first time since launch, Night City felt alive again. Now that the comeback story is over with, let's break it all down. Gameplay, narrative, replayability, and everything in between to see how Cyberpunk 2077 keeps calling you back. Just for warning, from this point on, there will be spoilers. So I'm gonna give you about 8 seconds to click off the video, just in case. First, let's start with the story. Who are you when your body is no longer your own? When your mind is haunted by someone else's legacy? Cyberpunk 27 doesn't just ask these, it forces you to live them. Your story begins with a choice, choosing your life path, nomad, street kid, or corpo. Each path shapes who you are in Night City and what you fight for. I have played as a corpo and a nomad. All three of them got their own short little introductory stories. As a corpo, you navigate a world where loyalty is fleeting, dealing with betrayal, and the crushing consequences of corporate power. As a nomad, you search for belonging and freedom, leaving behind the family you knew to find a new purpose in a city that devours souls. And no matter where you start, all paths lead to the same question: who will you become? The Heist mission is a modern masterpiece from how it's told and how it's designed. It's a perfect example of how the narrative blends in with the gameplay, from the initial planning to the tension to the eventual chaos. The mission begins with a simple sounding job. Simple only because it's carefully planned. Really and truly, it's outright outrageous. But it's to break into Arasaka Tower and steal the relic, a high-tech, high-valuable piece of corporate merchandise. It's safe to say if you steal this, you'll be rolling in cash. You're not doing this alone. You got a team, T-Bug and Jackie. Jackie specifically being one of the few people you can trust in this cutthroat world. As you infiltrate Arasaka Tower, the tension rises. Gameplay and narrative are perfectly entwined here. Stealth or full assault, your choices impact the mission's pace. Initially, things are going kind of okay, but the atmosphere shifts dramatically when Cerebu Arasaka, the Megacorp's leader, is murdered by his own son, Yorinobu. This shit was not a part of the plan. Now you're not just thieves, you're witness to a corporate assassination that could shake Night City. This moment raises stakes, the plan crumbles, and escape becomes the ultimate priority. The atmosphere intensifies as you and Jackie fight your way out, desperately clinging to survival. But the emotional core of the heist is Jackie Wells. As you push towards freedom, Jackie sustains critical injuries. His fate hangs in the balance, and here Cyberpunk 2077 hits hard. His final conversation with V is raw, filled with regret, hope, and brotherhood. And then Jackie dies, just like that. The loss is personal, profound, and transformative. For V, this isn't just a job gone wrong, it's the loss of a friend and a turning point that changes everything. With Jackie gone, you deliver the relic, but betrayal strikes you again. Dexter Deshawn, the fixer who hired you, has you shot and left for dead. Yet, death isn't the end. The relic activates, saving V's life by integrating Johnny Silverhand digital conscious into their mind. Now this is where Cyberpunk 2077 makes a sharp turn. Johnny Silverhand's presence isn't just a narrative twist, it redefines gameplay and story choices. V isn't just fighting for survival, they're fighting for their identity. Now there are characters in gaming who stick with you for a while, and then there are characters like Johnny Silverhand, characters who live rent-free in your mind long after the credits roll.
So what about him makes him so special?
I mean, babe, just look at him. Based off his aura, what can you infer about this man?
That's Johnny Silverhand?
Yeah, that's him. That's him.
That's Johnny Silverhand?
That's Johnny Silverhand.
Okay. From this perspective, he looks like he done been through stuff. He look like, based off of his arm, I mean, bro done been through stuff, but he's a survivor. He knows his stuff.
Okay.
He knows what he's doing.
Okay, keep cooking, keep cooking.
He got the glasses, so he's definitely giving badass. He's definitely giving badass.
I mean, to be honest, her inference wasn't too far off. Johnny Silverhand is loud, sarcastic, and rebellious. But beneath all that, he's one of the most well-written, morally complex characters in modern RPGs. And what makes him great isn't just his attitude, it's how he challenges the player, how his presence shifts the story, and how every interaction with him changes depending on how you play V. Johnny Silverhand is hilarious, but his humor isn't just there for the sake of jokes, it's how he processes his pain. When he calls Night City a glorified landfill, or mocks V for trusting corpos, it's not just sarcasm, it's bitterness. It's the voice of a man who saw everything he'd fought for turn to dust. Johnny isn't some flawless revolutionary, he's reckless. His obsession with destroying Arasaka got people killed, people he loved, alt cutting out, gone because of his ego. His relationship with Rogue, strained because he always put his cause first. But these flaws make him real. They make him someone you can argue with, hate, or even come to understand. It's outright amazing player agency. But it does kind of gives me proxy flashbacks between the relationship with Geralt and Ciri, but just spun into an entirely different narrative and structure. At least how the endings are sort of composed of, but just less dynamic in my opinion. But Johnny Silverhand has that same dynamic energy as legendary anti-heroes like Joel from The Last of Us or Trevor from GTA 5. He's not written to be likable, he's written to be real. That's what makes him timeless. He's not a hero, not a villain, he's a force of nature. And it's up to you whether you fight against him or stand beside him. Johnny Silverhand is more than just a character, he's an idea, an echo of the past, a warning for a future, and a man stuck in the present, desperate to leave behind something that matters. And that's why he works. That's why he stays with you. Because whether you love him or hate him, he makes you feel something. And in a world as brutal and lifeless as Night City, that might be the most human thing of all. But Johnny isn't the only one who leaves his mark. Night City is filled with people like him, rebels, outcasts, dreamers, and survivors, each carrying their own scars, their own ambitions. Some want to break free, some want to burn it all down, and some are just trying to make it through another day. These are the people who shape V's journey, the ones who challenge them, push them, and just like Johnny, force them to decide who they really are. Panam Palmer is way more than just a love interest. She's a warrior, a leader, and someone that's searching for a true home. She embodies the tension between freedom and responsibility. She wants to protect her people, but refuses to play by the rules of tradition. Her mission is also the most funnest to me, by the way, I'm not even gonna lie. Judy Alvarez is an idolist in a corrupt city. A master brain dance technician, she uses her skills to expose injustice and fight for those who can't fight for themselves. But in a city that punishes idealists, Judy constantly struggles with disillusionment. River Ward, a cop against the system. Now, River Ward is a rare thing in Night City, a cop who actually cares. His story isn't about cleaning up the streets, it's about fighting an uphill battle against corruption from the inside. River's personal mission exposes the darkest parts of Night City power structure, making him one of the game's most tragic figures. His bond with V is built on trust, justice, and the question of whether change is even possible in a world designed to break people like him. He also has one of the most funner but also twisted missions in the game.
Come here, you rascal. You'll hurt yourself.
Rogue isn't just a fixer, she's an icon, a legend from a time before V. She's seen it all, survived it all, and carved out a power base that makes even corporations take notice. But beneath that hardened exterior is a woman carrying decades of loss, regret, and unfinished business. Her history with Johnny Silverhand and the choices she makes with V highlight the weight of past decisions and whether a legend can ever truly walk away from the game. Her character really shows how much of a tight grasp Night City can have over you. Guro Takimura is a man of honor trapped in a world where honor means nothing. A former Arasaka bodyguard, his loyalty is absolute, but his journey with V forces him to question everything he's ever believed in. Takimura's arc is one of duty versus morality, and his story is one of the most overlooked yet pretty powerful in the game. Depending on V's choices, he can be an ally or a tragic casualty, making him one of the most complex figures in the game. And I like how flawed he is, because once somebody has been indoctrinated into a certain nature, it's like once you try to pin it outwards, it's like it just goes against you. Now, each of these characters represents a different path V could take. Their relationships with V aren't just side stories, they're a reflection of the choices V makes and what kind of legacy they'll leave behind. Now, CD Projekt Red had already experimented with relationship-driven endings before Cyberpunk 2077, but with this game, they took it to the next level. These are more than just side characters. They are the heart of Cyberpunk 2077, shaping the story in ways that go far beyond missions and dialogue choices. They make Night City feel real, and they make V stories one worth remembering. And this leads me on to one of the best side quests I have ever played, and it is called Cinnamon. Imagine this. You're hired to take down a man named Joshua Stevenson, a convict on death row. At first, it looks just like another hit job, but when you catch up to him, the entire quest takes a sharp left turn. Instead of fighting, he surrenders and reveals his plans to atone for his sins in the most dramatic way possible. Public crucifixion. It's not just about whether you help him or not. It's about grappling with the morality of forgiveness, sacrifice, and redemption. You see, the brilliance of Cinnamon, it's not about giving you the right choice. It's about challenging your beliefs and forcing you to question the concept of atonement. Like, when I was doing the quest, it felt so immersive because the questions get real deep. It felt like I was having a real conversation. I had to stop and pause and think. You see, Joshua's unwavering faith clashes with Night City's grim reality, and you're stuck in the middle trying to figure out whether he's delusional or truly transcendent. The quest leaves you haunted long after it's over, because it's not about whether you agree with Joshua, but about how his story challenges you to confront your own beliefs. This is what makes Cyberpunk 2077 stand out. In a world where most RPGs have simple morality systems, Cyberpunk 2077 dares to make you uncomfortable, daring to ask questions that don't have easy answers.
Under my roof. We met because of him.
Tell me, V, do you believe in God?
But it's not just the main story or big side quests that make Night City feel alive. It's the small, intimate stories scattered throughout the city. The countless gigs that pull you into the daily grind of a merc. These gigs are more than just side content. They're windows into the soul of Night City, giving you a taste of the city's chaos and the struggles of its people. For example, there's this short gig that I can't forget called Back Against the Wall. In this gig, you head to these tore down apartments to recover some stolen meds. You then stumble across a man named William Hare, who seems to be an ex-Militech soldier. You have a few options to handle the situation. Talk William down. 2, intimidate William. 3, neutralize William. I heavily advise that you talk William down because his dialogue is very interesting. Listen here.
Stop!
Sure. And you be careful with that trigger.
How did you find me?
Hereby contract from a fixer. Nothing personal. Hand over the stolen meds, and I'm gone.
Stolen? The Bale of Paradol doesn't work. So who's stealing from who? Who? Ripper docs. They're the real criminals.
Baloperidol? For cyberpsychosis?
I'm not fucking crazy!
Easy.
Shut up! Go away!
If they're of no use to you, they don't work. Just hand them over.
You're the same as them. Rippers, politicians. The same as that fucking Holt.
I could think of a few differences.
Shut up! That bastard he stole from research. He doesn't care about the sick. But soon, I'll find him. End him.
The death of one politician won't change anything.
It will! These silver-tongued devils won't dare turn on their people ever again! A line. I'm drawing a line. They can't treat us this way anymore! They can't use us anymore!
If you kill Holt, first thing they'll do is brand you a psycho and a terrorist.
It's not about me! This is for everyone. All the sick.
No. This would be a disservice to them. What are people gonna remember? Cyber psycho assassin kills in cold blood. Who'd want to help a monster like that?
Leave. Go, please.
No, I can't without those meds.
Over there. I want to be alone.
Now, after hearing him out, killing William might not feel as justified because it's clear he's just a broken person shaped by the brutality of Night City. And in the end, the chaos of Night City wins because he ends up...
Well, there it is.
taking his own life as soon as you leave the room. There's a couple of instances like this in a game where you have the option to immediately kill someone, but I advise you hear them out first because it allows you to question your morals. It really makes you think. Cyberpunk 2077 isn't just a game, it's an experience. It has a city that feels alive even when you're standing still. From the neon-drenched streets of Watson to the industrial sprawl of Santo Domingo to the absolute chaos of Pacifica, Night City isn't just a backdrop, it's a character in its own right, a world that breathes and tells its own stories even when you're not looking. So there was this one time, I won't forget it. I was riding my motorcycle and I accidentally fell off the bridge and landed in the water. And in that water, I found a sunken car with a dead man. It was a man who had just won a cat. He told his wife, but unfortunately he never made it because he drunk drove into the water. And there was this other incident where I was just randomly walking and I saw kids running away from a dead body. So I got curious, why are they, But anyways, there was a couple of weapons lying around, and I soon came to find out one of the kids owed him something and he was going to press him about it, and he ended up getting killed. Things like this just really encouraged me to check up every hidden area because you may not know what you could possibly find. It gave me that same feeling of when I was playing Kingdom Come Deliverance with the random landmarks. Ask yourself, what makes a world feel real? It's not just the size of the map or the number of NPCs walking the streets. It's the small things, the graffiti on alleyways, hinting at long forgotten stories, the ads blurring, corporate propaganda, the random NPC dialogue that subtly hooks you. Every street, every district, every broken down apartment has something to say. if you're willing to stop and listen. For example, you stop and look at this street sign and it says Martin Luther King Boulevard. You already know you're in a hood. It can't get no more immersive than that. But then again, maybe it kind of can get more immersive, because my detective findings have led me onto something profound, but also subtle. You see, there's a lot of symbolism hidden in plain sight. Watch this. Bae, what can you infer about these buildings? So, look at these buildings.
Ooh. Ooh, the sun shining? Wait, the one to the left or the one to the right? Futuristic. It looks like it's infrastructure. It looks like they ain't done with it yet.
Well, let me tell you, this simple futuristic infrastructure is actually way more deeper than you think. You see, in Night City, the vertical design isn't just an architectural choice, it's a metaphor for power. The higher you ascend, the further removed you are from the struggles of the lower class, both physically and socially. From their glass towers, the corporate elite quite literally look down upon the masses, reinforcing the city's wealth divide, not just through economics, but through spatial hierarchy itself. To exist above is to wield control. To remain below is to be forgotten. As Nietzsche said,
gaze into the abyss, you'll find the abyss staring right back at you.
Let's do another one. What can you infer from this room's interior? I'll give you a hint. We are in a high-class building.
It looks grunge. It looks grunge. It looks like not good people stay here. I wouldn't want to stay there. It looks like you're not invited.
I'm not gonna lie, she was actually kind of right. You see how it's black and red? It's rather depressing. There's no exciting colors. And what if I told you this is outright genius, because the developers wanted to symbolize to you that black is control. It's the abyss of power that no one can escape. Red is dominance, violence. It demands more than typical authority. It demands outright obedience. Talking about this made me flashback and remember, Star Wars had a similar thing with its empire. Now here's something also intriguing. As I was driving around Watson, I noticed the sky almost looked kind of green. This made me realize it has to be like this because this area produces that much pollution. This allows me to make more inferences. The people that I see that are limping around, could it also be because of the bad air quality? Subtle things like this is what separates Cyberpunk 2077 from GTA and Red Dead. It's symbolism incarnified. Cyberpunk 2077 is literally a case study in its own right, and we'll touch on the real world implications later. But a true city isn't just defined by its skyscrapers, it's defined by its people. And Night City doesn't feel like a static open world. Where are the zombies? It's filled with people just trying to survive. Street vendors hustle for sales, cops shake down suspects, gangs patrol their turf. NPCs don't just exist, they live, they talk, they argue, they go about their daily routines, making Night City feel truly alive. I kid you guys not. The game always finds a way to make me stop, especially with its NPC hustles or its random occurrences. For example, I am in the Corpo Plaza and a rich man got into his car and it blew up. He was assassinated right in my face. Wow. Now, Night City doesn't just look different at night, it feels different. The neon signs grow harsher, the shadows stretch longer, and the city feels more dangerous when the sun sets. Rain makes the streets sleek with reflections. The world isn't static, it shifts, it evolves and reacts, and that's what makes it immersive. Turn on the radio and you don't just hear music, you hear news about the latest corporate scandals, Night City's most wanted criminals, and street level gossip that reflects the world's ever-changing state. The ads are everywhere, selling cyberware, new lifestyles, or just distractions from reality. The world of Cyberpunk 2077 isn't just seen, it's heard, and it reacts to everything happening around you. And a world this immersive isn't just about what you see, it's about what you hear. The sound design in Cyberpunk 2077 is phenomenal, creating a layered and dynamic atmosphere. Every district has a unique audio identity. The corporate polish of City City hums with stereo efficiency while the neon-soaked chaos of Japantown is alive with street chatter and distant synth beats. From the hum of cyberware to the war motorcycles, every sound reinforces the world's identity. And the city's ambient noise isn't just background filter, it reacts to your actions. Gunfights echo through alleyways, police sirens wail in the distance, and radio ads interrupt your favorite music with corporate propaganda. Even small details like the subtle clicks of a cybernetic implant makes you feel like you're truly inside of this world. You see, Night City isn't just a place, it's a battleground of ideologies. The corpos rule from the glass towers, gang syndicates control the streets, and the nomads roam the Badlands free from it all. Fixers, mercs, cyberpunks, everyone has a role to play, and every faction has its own culture, style, and way of life. Where you stand, who you align with, it all shapes how the world reacts to you. But here's where it gets kind of wild. Really, in random places of the world, you'll find a shard, a small piece of data that adds another layer to the world. These aren't just filler collectibles, they are windows into a dystopian society where people's struggles, corporate corruption, and underground dealings are documented and discarded like trash. Some shards even expose Arasaka experiments on human consciousness. Others revealed gang wars, blackmail plots, and corporate betrayals happening in the background. Some are personal logs, diary-like entries from regular people just trying to survive in a city that sees them as disposable. If you take the time to read them, they paint a far darker, richer version of Night City than what you have seen on the surface. For example, I was walking into the club and then this conversation had caught my eye. Apparently this woman had just been fired from her job because she was not making a profit, and now she is worried she won't have a place to sleep. Another NPC proceeds to say something interesting.
Still got your body though, don't you? Work it.
She then proceeds to say every innie she makes gets eaten up by upgrades, and now she's in debt to her Reaper doc. Now I want you guys to hold on to this interaction because as I proceeded further into my quest line, I met someone named Fingers. Now Fingers is a disgusting mofo. Jigsaw wouldn't want to play a game with this individual. Essentially what he does is he installs faulty implants into his customers. But geniusly, the game never outright tells you how far his negligence goes. And after that moment, every NPC you see in an alley or slumped against a wall, it makes you wonder, were they one of his victims? Was their lives ruined by a cheap implant he installed? Suddenly the world feels deeper, more interconnected, more real. And all I did was just listen to a simple piece of dialogue that most people will skip. This kind of subtle storytelling makes you question everything you see in Night City. This is why Cyberpunk 2077 shouldn't be played as an action game, purely because it's much more deeper than that. This subtle show and tell makes every NPC feel like they have a hidden story behind them. It turns small moments into big realizations, making the world feel alive. But one of the realer nightmares of Night City is how easily people can lose themselves. Do you want to get the euphoric feeling of marrying someone? Do you want to get the euphoric feeling of living a rich life? Do you want to get the adrenaline of murdering someone? Well, step right up, you twisted fuck. Introducing Brain Dances, the ultimate digital escape. What started as entertainment has become something far worse. A drug, an addiction, a weapon. The idea of living someone else's memories should be thrilling, but in Night City, it's destroying lives. This is completely different than the VR we have of today. This actually stimulates your brain system on a very altering level. I'm gonna list the ways it has damaged this world. Some people get addicted, losing themselves in old recordings because real life can't compare. There are even cases of people thinking they are another person, and they really start to internalize that.
You for real, Edgar? This really necessary.
Who the fuck is Edgar? Are you scared?
Need a stronger kick to shake some sense into him.
Others use illegal XBDs, which is modern day live link. These are brain dances that stimulate murder, torture, or even worse, turning extreme violence into entertainment. Then there's corpo back BD programs that are used for propaganda, interrogation, even psychological warfare. I mean, you see the fallout everywhere. NPCs zone out, lost in loops of someone else's life. They sit in alleyways, unable to function without another hit of synthetic memories. What's even worse, the game never preaches about it. It doesn't give you a quest to fix Braindance Addiction. It just shows you the damage unless you put the pieces together yourself, because it's so ingrained into Night City to the point there is no cure. Taking away brain dances is kind of like banning guns in America. It just won't work. In conclusion, readables, background details, and hidden inferences make Cyberpunk 2077 one of the most immersive works in gaming. It rewards curiosity. It makes you think about what's not being said. It shows you a world where people are barely surviving, but never outright tells you how bad it really is, because off surface value, this looks like the city of dreams. And that in itself what makes Night City so dynamic, because the worst horrors are the ones you piece together yourself. You know, as I was playing Cyberpunk 2077, I wanted to know it on an even deeper level, like what inspired it. And what my research led to me was a huge wormhole of inspirations. You see, Night City didn't come out of nowhere. It stands on the shoulders of giants, classic works that defined the cyberpunk genre and shaped our idea of a dystopian future. To understand Cyberpunk 2077, you have to understand where it came from. Cyberpunk as a genre is all about rebellion, technological evolution, and a world where corporations hold more power than governments. The roots of Cyberpunk 2077 trace back to some of the most influential sci-fi works of all time. Hardwired, a book written in 1986 by Walter John Williams, is one of the core inspirations behind the board game Cyberpunk 2020, and by extension Cyberpunk 2077. It's a gritty, violent future where mercenaries and tech-enchanted outlaws fight for survival against corporate dominance. The concept of cybernetically enhanced characters and the brutal, unforgiving world are key elements that carried over to Cyberpunk 2077. Fun fact, we should really be thanking Hardwire more than we think, because in Hardwire, vehicles can be driven through the mind by using neural implants. The mind-machine interfaces allow for you to have seamless multitasking, such as controlling weapon systems, navigation, and tactical decision-making. Simultaneously, this is an almost direct parallel to Cyberpunk 2077. The basilisk that the avocado steal from Militech, and you know, some interesting things with Panem happen in it. If you know, you know. So thank Hardwire for that scene. Moving on to Neuromancer, a book written by William Gibson in 1984 that practically invented cyberpunk. It introduced the concept of a virtual reality matrix and megacorporations controlling the world. Fun fact, Cyberpunk 27 got the name of Night City from Neuromancer, and the whole personality construct thing came from it as well. The phrase jacking in comes from it, and even the concept of a net runner. Blade Runner, released in 1982, Ridley Scott's masterpiece, defined the look and tone of cyberpunk. The neon-drenched streets, the rain-soaked cityscapes, and the deep questions of what it means to be human. And I played Cyberpunk first before I saw any of these inspirations. And then once I watched Blade Runner for the research for this video, I'm like, oh my God, like I see it like everywhere, you know? Ghost in the Shell, a cybernetic masterpiece that explores the blurred line between human and machine, much like the themes in V's journey with cyberware and the Relic. And then there is Cyberpunk 2020, the tabletop RPG, the direct source material for the game, written by Mike Pondsmith. It set the stage for the corporation, gangs, and fixers that now define Night City. Now, how Cyberpunk 27 brings these inspirations to life is really special. CD Projekt Red didn't just copy cyberpunk tropes, they evolved them. Cyberpunk 2077 takes the best elements from its inspirations and merges them into a world that feels like a natural extension of the genre. You can see it in the narrative. V's struggle with the Relic and Johnny Silverhand echoes Ghost in the Shell's exploration of identity and artificial consciousness. You can see it in the visuals. The towering megacorp skyscrapers and chaotic streets mirror Blade Runner's vision of a city that's both advanced and crumbling. You can see it in the themes. The game leans into Neuromancer's fear of corporate omnipotence, showing how Arasaka and Militech run the world from the shadows. It has the role-playing freedom that was inspired by Cyberpunk 2020. Night City is filled with choices, factions, and power struggles that allow players to carve out their own path. So the question is, does Cyberpunk 2077 does justice to the genre that inspired it? Well, if it hasn't been made obvious already, abso-freaking-lutely. The game captures the essence of high-tech lowlife, the idea that no matter how much technology advances, human nature stays the same. It adds a lot of morality dilemmas. It gives us a world where technology is both a blessing and a curse, where power is concentrated in the hands of the few, and where the only way to survive is to carve your own path. But Cyberpunk 2077 also modernized the genre. Unlike older Cyberpunk works where hackers and rebels were on the outside looking in, V is directly in the middle of the chaos, fighting to survive in a world that's actively consuming them. The game puts you at the heart of the struggle rather than just observing it, which I think is outright brilliant. Night City may have been inspired by the past, but in Cyberpunk 2077, it becomes something more, an evolution of the genre, a world that feels like a natural continuation of everything Cyberpunk has always been about. And now this next topic I am so excited to discuss because it leads me on to something very unique to Cyberpunk 2077. The game does a very good job of showing a future reflection of our world, distorted and amplified. It takes everything that's wrong with modern society, corporate greed, technological obsession, and social decay, and cranks it up to 11. But what makes it so powerful is that it doesn't just throw these themes at you. It makes you live them. At the heart of Cyberpunk 2077's dystopia are the mega corporations, Arasaka, Militech, Kang Tao, shadowy giants that have replaced governments, enforcing their will through technology and raw power. In Night City, corporations aren't just businesses, they're gods. They create the rules, set the standards, and crush anyone who dares to challenge their dominance. And it's terrifying because it's not far from reality. Look at how our own world is increasingly shaped by tech giants. Companies like Amazon, Google, and Facebook have unprecedented influence over our lives. They know more about us than some of our closest friends do. They shape our decisions and mold our perceptions. The dystopia of Cyberpunk 2077 feels almost like prophecy, showing us a world where corporations have not just economic power, but complete control over our human lives. But there's another layer to this dystopia that hits even deeper. The concept of transhumanism. In Cyberpunk 2077, the pursuit of technological perfection and augmentation has fundamentally altered what it means to be human. The line between man and machine is so blurred, the identity becomes fluid, malleable, and even disposable. Let's take the violence gig for example. You're hired by Lizzie Wizzy, a pop star who's essentially abandoned her humanity to become a full-body cyborg. She's rich, famous, and admired, but at what cost? Lizzie's transformation has left her in a constant struggle with her own sense of self, questioning whether she's still the person she used to be or just a machine mimicking human emotion. And this leads to a profound question. Is the ultimate pursuit of perfection worth sacrificing our humanity? In our own world, we're already seeing hints of this through technology that alters human capabilities like neural interfaces, gene editing, and even the obsession with virtual identities. As we advance further into the future, the Cyberpunk 2077 vision doesn't feel like a far-fetched nightmare. It feels like a warning. It challenges. This is brilliant portrayal because it challenges us to think about what we're willing to give up in the name of progress and perfection. Will we reach a point where we're no longer human? Just consumers and tools molded by the corporations that govern our existence? It's chilling to think about, but that's what makes Cyberpunk 2077 so damn powerful. It forces us to confront our darkest ambitions and the potential consequence of our desire to transcend human limitations. In conclusion for this segment, I don't really care whether you are a Republican or a Democrat. It should be alarming to both sides that Donald Trump has assembled the wealthiest presidential administration in modern history, with at least 13 billionaires owning a government post. This is foretelling because the ex-CEO of Militech is literally the president of America. That could be a Elon Musk, a Mark Zuckerberg, or a Jeff Bezos. Anyways, let's get less philosophical and now let's talk about the gameplay. Of course, what's a world without the tools to navigate it? Cyberpunk 2077 offers a gameplay experience that lets you approach Night City however you want. Whether you're a stealthy net runner hacking your way through security systems, a gunslinger carving a path of destruction, or a melee-focused brawler taking a fight up close, the game adapts to your playstyle. And one thing I really love is the combat. Oh my god. The combat in Cyberpunk 2077 is as diverse as Night City itself. Want to take down enemies from a distance? Sniper rifles and smart weapons have you covered. Prefer the thrill of a close quarters fights? Mantis Blade and Gorilla Arms let you tear through enemies up close. But it doesn't stop there. The game even has weapons that fire ricochet bullets, allowing you to hit enemies hiding behind cover without ever needing a clear line of sight. It adds to this unpredictable, chaotic energy to shootouts that feels so satisfying when you pull it off. All of a sudden, I was trying to do math equations on what angle I had to aim my gun. And if you'd rather not fight at all, quick hacks turn you into a walking virus, disabling enemies before they even know you're there. Another thing that makes the combat so good is how easy you can just enter the flow state. I really enjoy being a stealth netrunner because when I can go from enemy to enemy, one-shot headshotting them, I felt in the zone. Not to mention how addicting the headshots sound. Oh my god. One of Cyberpunk's 2077 most engaging mechanics is its skill and progression system. Unlike traditional RPGs with rigid class systems, Cyberpunk lets you build your version of V based on how you play. Want to be a master hacker? Invest in intelligence and quick hacks. Prefer brute force? Boost body and unlock gorilla arm takedowns. Whether it's crafting, stealth, or reflex-based gunplay, every upgrade feels like a tangible evolution of your character. Damn, okay. And the best part, skills level up naturally. The more you use a skill, whether it's melee, combat, hacking, or engineering, the better you become at it. This creates an organic progression system that encourages experimentation and rewards players for committing to a specific playstyle. Let me tell you this, cyberware isn't just for show. It defines how you play. Reflex boosters slow down time in firefights, reinforce legs to let you jump impossible distances, and optical upgrades give you tactical advantages in combat. V isn't just a character, you shape them, making every cybernetic upgrade a step towards your own version of the ultimate merc. Let me tell you this also, the game makes traversal feel exhilarating. As we all know, Night City is massive, and getting around is part of the luxurious experience. Whether you're hijacking a high-end corporate vehicle, speeding down neon-lit highways on a motorcycle, and by the way, the motorcycle sound is everything. Oh my god! Not to mention the Akira slide. Oh my goodness! Oh my god! Oh my god! Back to the topic. And if you want more control, vehicle combat lets you turn the streets into your own personal battlefield. But gameplay isn't just about weapons and movement. It's about choices, who you work with, who you betray, how you handle missions. It all shapes V's story. Dialogue choices impact relationships, skill investments define combat strategies, and mission approaches can lead to drastically different outcomes. In Cyberpunk 2077, your playstyle isn't just about combat, it's about who you choose to be. And all this adds to the replayability. With the different builds, my first playthrough, I was a guy that just goes in gun blazing. My second playthrough, I was a stealth netrunner, and I really enjoyed getting people to go cyber psycho, getting people to delete themselves, and I also like the different approach on certain gigs and missions in general. Now that I was taking a stealth rogue, it added a new taste of suspense. Even after you beat the game, you can roleplay as different builds specific to edge runners. You can make a David Martinez build, you can make a Rebecca build, and even a Lucy build. Speaking more into replayability, we have to talk about the mods. Cause if there's one thing that can make Cyberpunk 2077 go from an already massive immersive experience to something truly limitless, it's mods. They enchant, overhaul, and sometimes completely reimagine what this game can be. Cyberpunk 2077 isn't just about surviving in Night City, it's about thriving in it. Whether through combat, hacking, or social manipulation, the gameplay is an extension of the story, reinforcing the themes of choice, consequence, and survival. This is what makes it more than just an open world RPG. It's a playground of possibilities. This is going to be the end of the video. This is probably my most ambitious video ever. My last video, I kind of did analyze it a little bit on Star Wars Overcooked video, but I never analyzed something like this game. I mean, I read 3 freaking books. I have played Phantom Liberty and I actually beat it, but it was just so much to include. I feel like it's another video in its freaking entirety. I am going to make this a series. Tell me things that I should improve on. I feel like there's quite a bit of things I could improve on. There's way more things I could have actually talked about in Cyberpunk 2077, but with a game like this, man, there's only so much that you can really cover. And I'm out, guys. Thanks for watching. Road to 10K.